Airways, ladies and gentlemen. We've invited first class, now we're inviting executive platinum, emerald, sapphire.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and I'm very pleased to welcome back the dogged Lee Harris. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Ria. It's nice to be called dogged. I think I actually know this one, so it is there's definitely a first here.
Well, I thought you might. I thought I'd sort of dumb it down this week for you.
Yeah, we need to really dumb it down.
I do love Lee. For the viewers out there, this is just something we do all the time. So, there's no insults going back and forth, but sort of. I have to mention that Crew Travel is brought to you weekly by Blue Marine Travel, who haven't lost a passenger since Lee Harris was born back in the dark ages.
You're 2 for 2. Well done.
I know, right? I am burning you today. It's so much fun.
Well, thanks very much.
No, you're great. You're great. You're amazing. And you weren't born until the late 70s. And I must say that Lee is actually younger than I am. So, but I have to take advantage where I can.
That's true. But yes, I am younger than you, Ria. So I'm going to take that one this time.
That's all right. You're allowed. So what's going on in New Zealand? I mean, aside last week, we talked about the whole travel bubble and the fact that the seafarers were having issues being repatriated. I have since interviewed Kevin, who is the gentleman in charge. And if you want to find out what's going on there, just check in our back in interviews and under Yachtcrew blogs, and Kevin's interview will be there. But there's news out of New Zealand, and there's going to be a change now.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so New Zealand will open its doors to vaccinated travellers from low-risk countries from early 2022. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern announced Thursday, signalling a tentative relaxation of the country's strict pandemic border controls. As part of the reopening, Ardern announced New Zealand would aim to implement a tiered risk-based system to enter the country from early 2022. Now, according to a New Zealand government statement, under the new system, vaccinated travellers coming from high-risk countries would still have to go into the managed quarantine facility for 14 days, but those from medium-risk countries will have either reduced quarantine or be allowed to self-isolate, whilst those from low-risk countries would be allowed in without having to quarantine whatsoever. New Zealand obviously, as yet, have not announced which countries will be classified as low, medium, or high risk. Obviously, as soon as they do, we will bring it to you here first on Crew Travel Updates. Obviously, like you've said, we all know New Zealand seafarers have been badly hit, what with trying to get home due to the current MIQ system and not being able to get a voucher. So although this is still 6 months away, at least it should give a little bit of peace of mind and show that there is an end in sight to their woes.
Well, and the thing is, as we well know, the list of countries and where they sit on that list, it changes all the time. I mean, one day it could be one thing, the next day another, and the day after another. So but it's the nature of the world right now. You just have to keep your ears open and hope and pray that when you are able to fly, that at that stage, your country will be on a green list or an amber list.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess the one good thing is that if they are going to have it as a tiered system, then obviously you're not going to have as many people fighting for MIQ vouchers, because fingers crossed, hopefully a lot of the people wouldn't be coming from a red list. And if the crew are coming off from red list countries, then they should find it easier to get MIQ vouchers at that point. That's if they are obviously coming from a red list country.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, everything starts working out the way it should, and we can all go back to living, well, a different life than we are right now. I'm not sure. I'm sick and tired of the word that everyone's using for what we're living now. So I'm not even going to say it because that would dignify it. But yeah, it's time. It's time for us just to start living again, really, is all I can say.
Yeah, I think so. It's been long enough, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Air Belgium.
Yeah, so Air Belgium, they've announced through its latest update that the company are going to deny boarding to passengers travelling to Martinique and Guadeloupe. This is due to an upsurge of COVID-19 infections in the French Antilles. Now, according to a press release issued by Air Belgium, on August the 11th, the French Antilles are currently having a significant rise in COVID-19 infections. This has resulted in the enforcement of strict measures and restrictions. Air Belgium went on to say that the new measures imposed by the French authorities for stays in Martinique and Guadeloupe oblige Air Belgium to deny boarding to passengers who wish to travel to either of these destinations.
Okay, and Ljubljana Airport?
Yeah, so Fraport Slovenia, the operator of Slovenia's only airport with scheduled flights, is offering completely free COVID-19 vaccinations to all passengers and the general public. The vaccine on offer is the Janssen's, that's the Johnson & Johnson single-dose vaccine, which obviously is administered as a single dose. Thus, if you participate in this scheme, you will be fully vaccinated while you, for example, wait for your flight to depart. No advanced booking is needed. You only have to show up at the COVID point in Terminal A of Ljubljana Airport. Now, the scheme started last week on Monday, the 9th of August, and it operates under the following schedules. From Mondays, it's from 9 a.m. until midday. Wednesdays from 11 till 2 p.m. and from Fridays, it's 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Now, any European Union member state resident is eligible to participate because you only need to present your European health insurance card and an ID to get vaccinated. Slovenian citizens, obviously, they don't need to show the EHIC because their own Slovenian unique master citizen number will suffice.
Well, it's a good idea, one shot, off you go. And you know that when you get to the other side, you're vaccinated. I mean,
yeah, exactly right. It seems a good, good idea, which I would imagine that eventually other airports should take on board as well. Like you say, if it's especially the one dose, shot in your arm whilst you're checked in, job done.
Well, I think every airport should have, at every boarding gate, they should have the antigen tests, just before you board. Yeah. You've got to take an antigen test before you can actually get on the plane. It's quick, it's easy. Why not? I think they've got the ones where you prick your finger now or something, and they can have the results in 5 minutes. I mean, how hard would it be to have somebody there to test everybody as they're going onto the plane?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. All you've got to do is start the check-in process, or the boarding process slightly earlier. Yeah. And as you say, it doesn't take 5 seconds to prick a finger, and by the time you're in your seat, you'll know whether you're clear or not.
Exactly. Once again, if only we ruled the world.
Yeah, I'm not sure people would agree with that, but yeah, we do.
Vote Rhea and Lee. Yeah. You can be my vice president of the world. How's that? Yeah, I'll be VP. I'm happy with that. That way, if I get assassinated, you can take over.
Yeah, I'd probably actually start. I'd just be unconsolable, Rhea, wouldn't I, if you'd been assassinated? So,
He'd probably be the one to assassinate me, to be honest. Right. What's going on with British Airways?
Yeah, British Airways are going to resume flights from Heathrow to Hong Kong. This is from August the 16th. This comes after the Hong Kong government recently eased restrictions for high-risk areas, including the UK. The 10 times weekly flights from Hong Kong to London Heathrow will also be rescheduled to depart in the evening. That's from August 17th to make it more convenient for connecting customers.
And Aer Lingus.
Yeah, so big news with Aer Lingus, which should help, hopefully, a lot of the northern-based crew in the UK. They are now forging ahead with plans to launch Manchester services to the US. That's after the UK Civil Aviation Authority granted an airline operating license to Aer Lingus, part of the Aer Lingus group. Aer Lingus UK aims to launch flights to New York and Orlando on September the 30th and to Barbados on October the 20th. The statement from the CAA about the granting of the license said that this allows the company to undertake transatlantic scheduled passenger services between Manchester and the United States.
Well, and before we get to crew questions, I have a question of my own. Once again, I am checking in with you to see how Fort Lauderdale is going. And of course, we know that at the end of October, FLIBS is happening. What is the border looking like in the US at the moment?
No change, unfortunately, Rhea. We're still sat where we were 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. Well, months now, isn't it, to be honest with you? Yeah. But yeah, no, they're still not at this moment allowing anybody in from the red zone. So for yourself from Palma at this moment in time, you wouldn't be allowed in. Again, we were hopeful it was going to be changing at the beginning of this month. That's not happened. The word on the street is that they're now hoping it's going to be end of September. But at this time, I can't give you a definite date, I'm afraid. It's still a matter of waiting and seeing.
Right. Well, whoever's out there listening, please fix this.
If you ask Mr. Biden nicely, I'm sure he'll do it. Just for you.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, when I ask so nicely, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And if you don't fix it, I will, no.
No, don't say that. You'll
I
be
was
on a
going to
watch
say,
list.
I was
You'll
going to
never
go
get
there.
in. Yeah, you're never going to get in.
Exactly. Right. Okay. You'll never know what I was going to say. Just to say that. Anyways, and crew questions. What's going on there?
Yeah, we received a question in from John this week, who's listened to previous week's episodes and wanted to know dates when Canada will be opening up to other countries and not just the US. Well, at the moment, John, Canada are tentatively ready to accept international travellers from September the 7th. However, obviously, with all things COVID, this could change. The Canadian government have also announced this week that come October, all travellers entering the country must be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 from any one of the following 4 vaccines. That will be the Pfizer BioNTech, you have to have the 2 doses, the Moderna, you have to have the 2 doses, AstraZeneca, 2 doses as well, and the Janssen, which is the Johnson & Johnson 1 dose one. So you have to have any of those and you have to have the full vaccine. You will also need a negative COVID test dated no more than 72 hours before departure. Again, obviously, if there are any changes to the date that Canada will be reopening or any of the requirements to tourists, we will let you know as soon as possible on this show.
That's going to cause a lot of controversy, isn't it? You cannot enter the country without being fully vaccinated. Now, there's going to be a lot. I mean, the outcry around the world right now with vaccines are being told you have to vaccinate. I don't know. Have you been seeing any kickback or anything in the news in regards to that?
Yeah, I think there will be kickback, to be honest with you. But then at the end of the day, I would imagine most countries are going to go that way. I know full well that when Jacinda Ardern was talking about New Zealand opening up in 2022, you know, there was a big emphasis on vaccinated travellers coming in. So they're probably going to go the same route. The US have already said that they're going to want people who are vaccinated to be allowed in. So it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because, you know, you've got anti-vaxxers saying they won't have the freedom to choose. But at the end of the day, if you want any freedom to do anything, you're going to have to be vaccinated. So it's a bit of a catch-22.
Well, yeah, but as well, the fact is, and this is where it gets really crazy, is that the vaccines, they don't guarantee that you can't carry it. So vaccinated or not, you could be a walking time bomb into that country regardless. Yeah,
I know. It's crazy. I mean, I think personally we're going to see how, or the world is going to see how the UK goes with allowing everybody in with 75% of their population vaccinated and see what happens from there. And then I think that's probably why the New Zealand government are giving them 6 months to see exactly what happens. But you know, it's at some point you've got to reopen, you know, regardless of how tough it's going to be, because you know, like we said on here before, that it's not just the travel side of things that people want to go on holiday. You've got the people who want to work, but not also that. It's people's mental, you know, well-being. You can't lock people either in or out for that long a period. At some point, we have got to say, right, this is what we're going to be living with. We've got to deal with it. We've got to find ways around it and start getting back to some kind of normality. Yeah, well, I guess Britain is sort of the test case. We're going to see what happens there, and the rest of the world will just, you know, either follow them or do the absolute opposite. It is. It's almost like they're the guinea pig of the world. It's almost like they drew lots, and the UK drew the shortest one. But I think they were the ones leading the charge. So, you know, I don't know. They were the ones saying, yeah, we're done. Yeah, we're not drawing straws. We didn't want to draw straws. We just decided that we are the one. Because Britain seems to be a bit that way, without getting political. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You know, a lot of the experts are saying that herd immunity is not working because this is a virus that mutates. And so it doesn't matter if you've had COVID, it doesn't matter if you've had the vaccine. There are still different, you know, we're seeing it with the Delta virus. I think there's another couple of different variants that are coming out now. And people are still getting, even people that have been vaccinated are still getting sick. Not as bad for sure, but they're still getting sick. So, you know, this whole concept of herd immunity is just, it's not real. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely what I've read exactly the same as you. That's what the experts are saying. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how how it's going to pan out. You know, is it going to be that, you know, you don't get sick and we take it on the chin and it's going to be like a flu-like thing where we're going to have to live with it that way? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? It's interesting times, to say the least.
Well, I can say I've been fully vaccinated. My 5G reception is through the roof. I've just canceled my internet entirely. I don't need it anymore because, now I am like a walking Wi-Fi zone.
Your neighbors are already, yeah, they're already tuned into you as well.
Yeah, I didn't give them the password because I made my own. But I said I'm going to go get this done. Yeah, and I've always been skeptical of vaccines. I have to be completely honest. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I've always been very skeptical, and I've always done all my research. And if I were to go to different countries, I have my own beliefs. But in this instance, everything that I needed to do, I needed to have a vaccine. And I thought, okay, well, I will take the vaccine, but I'm not going to get my kids vaccinated until I find out whether or not my head explodes. And so far, it hasn't made me any smarter, which I was rather disappointed with. But I do see people following me from time to time, which, I'm sure is because the government is now following me because I'm so important. And my 5G reception has totally increased. So it's all good.
There you go. See, look on the bright side.
Honestly, my 5G reception I have to do the disclaimer, right? Because there's going to be people out there going, Ria said, no, my 5G reception has not got good. The neighbors are not getting better Wi-Fi. And nobody is following me unless, of course, they're wanting to tell me that I've got a toilet paper stuck to my shoe, because that's probably more than likely what's going to happen to me if I ever leave the house. And other than that, you know what, I had pain in my arm, for 24 hours and the first time, and 24 hours the second time. And that was it. That's all that happened. So
there you go. So it's all good. I think actually this week I'm eligible from this week, so hopefully I'll have mine soon. My first dose anyway, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, well, once you have it, we'll have to discuss how it's affecting you, and
yeah,
maybe your head will pop off in the middle of an interview, and that'll be exciting for me.
I mean, you'll get record number of viewers for that one for sure,
right? Ew.
Every cloud on that.
Anyways, Lee, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you ever so much for having me again. Always a pleasure.
Yes, and we will see you again next week.
Sounds good to me.
Once again, you've been watching another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I have been your host. We'll see you again next week.